I can assure you, there's a greater, grander purpose for it all. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. So, it's been a while, and it may be just a little bit while yet. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit of a update. So I think the last time I made a video, or a bit back, particularly recently, I knew that I was going to be going through some stuff this summer. It was turning 50 has brought a lot of just changes in my life, have now all kind of fell in order to happen when I'm turning 50. Some of it deliberate, some of it just the natural order of things, but this has been an incredibly heavy process. I knew when I went into this summer that it was going to be difficult for me. I knew that I was going to be going in a very dark place within myself. I knew part of me needed to just sort of let it organically happen. I was going to, for the first time in 12 years, allow silence, which has been very, very not good for me. I've been dealing with, as of recent, realizing that I've plateaued, and I'm sort of like, what am I left with? So this has been a very particular time for me. I am through the heavy part. I am now sort of kind of thinking ahead and what I want for the outcome of this sort of transition, and I'm entering into the next decade, which I cannot emphasize enough what is into this. And now that I realize this is now my golden decade that I'm entering, so it does sort of make sense. I think if you watch this video, I think that's going to give you just a little bit better idea of what it is that I'm going through. Now, I know that the dust will settle in this storm that I am sort of just letting happen, so I can just get through this transition and let things be and let go. That's sort of part of the heaviness in this as well. But I know that this August, next month, 10 days from now, basically, it will start about. I am going to begin finally writing the beginning, first paragraph. I'm going to go where I was born, and I'm going to write that chapter. I'll be turning 50 when I write that first few chapters. That is this new decade. This is the very big thing that I'm doing. This is, monumental. There's a lot in it. I don't know that I will post another video till that is done. I may not. Let's just say that's a month away. I'm going to get a lot of stuff done in the house, and I'm going to turn 50 and then maybe make a video. We'll see. I'm going to be moving my computer around. I'm not going to have my bedroom for a while. There's a lot of things that's going to get real messy in my house here one last time before I'm ready to just be done and I can put the tools away for the first time in 3 years. I know that I have to get certain things in order, and I have to officially get names and titles of organizations and get things very, very solid in stone, because I need to do that for a couple of reasons. I'm going to have to go get a patent and lock in that name so I own it, and so nobody can create a problem or an issue for me in the future. There may be quite a few things I have to get. And number two is that I am going to be putting these links to YouTube channels and such like that in the first book. It's going to be written in the first book. So when you read the book, you can follow these YouTube channels as I release the next 3 books, and then everything as the mission and grows, then you can follow along. So I need to get those base social media platforms I need those titles solid and official, and, be ready. With that, I am getting that stuff done now. So I am in this very, very tight ending process, but I have officially begun sort of the domino effect, if you will. That is about 6 months, a year of me doing particular things, and as a result, it is going to completely close the chapter on my history, and I will officially just be into the new. I am already in the steps of the new chapter. I've already released certain aspects from myself of the old, and I know where I'm at. I will explain in detail all that process that I'm going through and what I've done in the books and on social media platforms and stuff like that at a later time. As of now, I'm going to go ahead and just let the next rest of this go. But I just wanted you to know that I have really been going through this. And on the other side of this process is very much a new me. So 31 years ago, I talk about this a lot, but I vowed to myself that I was going to write a book. And there were a few things that I was concerned about, but one of those things was, what if I won the Nobel Peace Prize? And so I kind of put that parameter so that I would sort of keep a purity about it. Then, other than that, I just, was to learn about people and the world and how things interacted. And I knew that I had a different perspective and different take. And I knew that I seen things differently, and that I always was part of the world and very much outside the box, as it were. And as I've gotten older, and I am about to turn 50 next month. This is July 2022, and next month, of course, will be August. And I will turn 50. And so I have been kind of going through a journey getting to this point. So back to what I was saying about 31 years ago when I vowed to myself that I was going to write this book. I knew that when I did that I wanted to read a bunch of poetry books, and I was going to sort of set myself in a mindset to write in a certain particular way. And I knew that I was going to do this from the very beginning. And even then, and I have a few poetry books, but I had collected a few poetry books and a few literary books over the years, and a series of a lot of books I had collected that I was going to read before I wrote my book. And there's a lot of things that unfolded out of that. But there are still elements of this change in myself that I had planned on 3 decades ago. I had planned on trying to do that sometime right after I turned 40, write my book. And then, of course, it's turned into a whole lot more than that. And here I am now. I'm kind of going to start it this fall. There's a thing I'm going to do this August that I'm going to write a beginning part of it. And then, this it begins now. The first book, I can't really change anything about that. The third, the next, second, third, and fourth book are, subject to a lot of fluctuation in how I write it and stuff like that. But the first book is very much easy. That's one part of the book that's always been wrote. That's the part of my life that I would have wrote when everyone told me, you're at 18, you need to write a book. That is the first book. I'm turning 50 in just a little over a month, compiled with this process of the book that is now an enterprise and a social media platform that I hope to launch by the launch of the second book, unless I get fundraising efforts going beforehand, which I don't understand why I wouldn't. And the only reason I'm not apprehensive about going out and just asking for that is because I know that once I get it set off the ground, that I'm going to be running a lot of nonprofit and asking for a lot of money, all kinds of places in a lot of different ways, or people investing in what has transpired other Peapod centers that people could eventually own themselves. There's a lot into that, but nonetheless. So there is me knowing that I'm going to be spending the next 10 years of my life working on these Peapod centers, the launching of the social media platform and the writing of the 4 books and the launching of these over a dozen YouTube channels. Everything sort of works together. Everything initially was just marketing for the books, but then when the social media platform came out of it here this, basically essentially January and February, then, it added a whole nother dimension. And so I'm rapidly catching up, developing, took me 27 months, 28, 29 months before I finally could take a break, and I have taken that break. And that's what I am on now. I'm kind of through it. But when I knew that I was going to be taking this journey, this transition thing, I knew there were some things that I was going to be quitting in my life and things I was going to be doing different. And there's just a lot of things I was going to be doing. And knowing what I'm going to be doing for 10 years on this whole enterprise, and then what I kind of have planned for the next decade after that, and then just sort of die off into the sunset. But there is a little bit of wrapping, tidying up that I want to do at the end there, and then I can retire, so to speak, if Lord, the universe willing, and everything, that I can be there to do that. Nonetheless, if I can just sort of get a few Peapod centers off the ground, I think that and the internet site set, if something would happen, I think there's enough sustainability that my dream will last 1,000 years as I'm planning. Anyhow, enough on that. I knew going into this kind of transition of turning 50 that it was going to be kind of emotional. There was some sort of releasing that I knew was already happening in December, and just saying to myself I was never going to have another Christmas like that all Christmases were over, and that I was going to do a very different Christmas this year. I'm really hoping that, but if I'm not working by Christmas, I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess if anything, I'll take a tank of gas and I'll go sleep in my car someplace on the side of the road over, for a week, just so I am not here to be where Christmas is historically always been. I need it to be different. But in this is... it's not apprehensive, but there is this part of me that knows when I sort of do this transition in life, in a lot of aspects, I'm not going to tinkle my toes back in. I'm really going into this with a new everything. We're just going to say it's literally everything. It's 3 decades of planning with this book that just coincide with everything else, and the trauma that the second and third trauma really did me in. It has shattered me, and I just can't seem to. It's been too much of a struggle for me, and I don't know what kind of happiness that success in what I'm doing is going to bring me, but I have to do this for myself. I have to see this through. This is something I have to do, and I have to give it the respect that 3 decades that it's owed, and I have to give myself the respect and time to see just what kind of fruits of the labor can happen, because especially now and I just made a video on my foundation YouTube channel, and in making that video I realize when I actually am done with the remodel and I can really work on just having a clear space and a clear mind so I can just concentrate on the creation of the enterprise and the 1,000 moving parts, if you will. I need that clarity so I can make sure that I'm doing it right, what to share, what not to share, what to concentrate, what can, there's just a lot of pieces. I've kind of not been saying a whole lot about it, but I knew that I was going to go through some things. And even knowing what I'm doing, this content creation, I'm sort of in this somewhere. I'm going to fall between the crevice of the cracks of, these tectonic plates in the, floating on the earth, which is my life. I'm about to step from one to the other, and in that shift, it's moving when I do that, and I don't really know exactly what's going to go on when I cross over that, and there's no going back. As I've said, it's a new world on those other sides. Limited room for me to bring with, including the memories and the cherished moments and things like that. Those sort of are gonna just get kind of closed away, a lot of it, and I may not open it as much, and I'm going to be busy with other things, and there's just so much heartache attached to it, and it may just become the secret box that I really don't open or talk about a lot, and I need to do that for myself, and I'm ready to I'm ready to expunge a lot of things, and there's so many different things going on at different levels, and so it's all part of this, the end of the chrysalis and the caterpillar stage. I'm sort of, I can start to feel this new, but I don't know what it means to have wings and to be able to fly, and where I may end up. I know there are going to be possibilities beyond my wildest imagination, and I'm going to put myself in that direct path for those things to happen. Now, does that mean that anything's going to happen? There's a part of me that does want to always remain here in this house. I do know that there are elements of this journey that are going to be a little bit dangerous for myself, and I don't feel safe staying here. I think that once things are out and make sense and everyone sees everything for what it is, which may take 3 years, I think would probably take about 3 years. The second book is going to have to come out. The second book is going to be the most difficult book for me to write on a lot of reasons why. The second book is going to be the most difficult for me to write. There's a lot of reasons why that is going to be. I have expected that ever since I've realized there was going to be 4. I just know there's a lot of things ahead of me. And I have gotten a lot of stuff done on the remodel of my front porch. I may snap a couple of pictures in or something here, see if you want to see. That's what I've done. I have a lot more done, a lot more planned coming. I'm going to be crunch time, basically, because I want the majority of all the construction part aspect. I won't be able to do this big part I wanted to do in the bathroom that involves moving my tub. There's no way I'm going to be able to get that done this year. That's impossible. I'm just not going to have the financing or anything like that for that. That's something I may still do at a later time, but otherwise I want to have all of the major, construction siding done. There's just a lot of little cutting and stuff like that. I'm majority wise done. I can't really buy much lumber now for a few months, so I'm going to be sort of limited to everything that I can get done, but I just want to get all the supplies that I have on hand completely gone through, and that should clear out my garage so I can park my vehicle in the garage for the first time. That'll be the first time that I've been able to park anything in there for years. Anyhow, so that'll be nice, and that's sort of the goal, just to sort of get all the supplies gone through so I don't have anything on hand, and then that I don't have enough paint or I don't have any wallpapers or anything like that I have planned, but I can at least get some paint of some color. I have a lot of different, old paints. I may even mix some things together to get enough done, or something. I don't know what I'm going to do once I get down to the wire, but I should get the majority of this done by the end of August. That's the big goal. So I may just sort of step off here. I know that a lot of people make videos and content and stuff like that while they're going through a process, but it's just the way that I kind of do things, and it's very slow, it's very incremental, it skips many days. I'm just really, it's not, I work maybe 3 hours a few days a week, and it's just not, it's not going like I had hoped, and it's frustrating because I am hoping by the end of summer that I've sort of built up some endurance so that I can go back to work. If I can't go back to work, it's going to be a lot longer for me to buy costumes and stuff so that I can post on these YouTube channels. In particular, some of the main channels do require costumes that are going to cost me hundreds of dollars to put together, and I can't do those without a job. Just with the little bit of money that I make now and here and there is barely enough to just sort of get by and kind of get necessity supplies. For instance, I could go out and buy a pair of shoes or a pair of jeans and shampoo and some things like that. I could go out and do that. I need to go out and do that. I've been needing to do those items for a year now, and I haven't. So because the particular items, they're kind of expensive, and they hit low on the priority list because most of it goes right into this house, or in some bits into the production something or another. Like I just got this, I guess you can't see it, but there's I have green screen, an official green screen now, so the quality of that should be better. Trying to do this is my second setup with the green screen here now, so I'm hoping that this quality is better than the one that I just made on the other channel. Anyhow, let's just see how this goes. So I will just be off here for a while. I just wanted to say that, and